Well, that was bad. Unfortunately, the Cowboys will not be advancing in the playoffs. They lose in their first playoff game 23-17 to the San Francisco 49ers. Shout out to the 49ers faithful for the win. You guys did what you guys had to do to get the win, and yeah. Uh, but with that being said, it's a lot more about what happened with Dallas. Now, for me, looking at this game, a lot of people expected the 49ers to win this game. I think it was like 67% of people were picking the 49ers to win this game. A lot of people in the media were saying that the 49ers are going to win this game, and unfortunately, they got proven correct. The Cowboys could not prove them wrong. Uh, there are many reasons why the Cowboys lost this game, and look, I understand that we're all upset with what happened, but we kind of have to realize where we're at as a team, and kind of we can't say things for the sake of saying things, and I'm gonna get into that down the road. Um, if you want to like the video, that's fine. If you want to subscribe, that's fine. But that's besides the point. When you look at this game, right, the Dallas Cowboys in the first quarter, you really kind of got a vibe of how the game was gonna go, and for me, that's not good. I shouldn't have to feel a certain way about the game and be like, well, they're down by 10 points, so it's all over, and that is exactly what happened. And I hate being proven right. I have been watching this team my entire life. And for someone that was born after the dynasty era, it is hard to really imagine a successful Super Bowl roster because we don't know what that looks like. We have not seen in a modern iteration of this team. Now, don't get it wrong. There were moments where the teams did look like, like for example, you get teams like 2014, 2016, etc., where this is a team that can legit do something. Unfortunately, they don't. But I think we cannot lose sight in where this team is at and just hit the reset button already. Look, I get it, we're frustrated with how the game went. I get it, we're frustrated with how people played. I get it, we're frustrated with the coaching staff. And there are moments where I'm frustrated too. And we are, as fans, we're justified for these opinions. I believe that this came down to the inability of primarily, I would say about 75 to 80% of the blame goes to your offensive coordinator, because if you cannot scheme against this defense, or rather defenses that are good, you're not going to go far. If you can't, this is the problem that I have, is that we should not, and I'm not saying, I want to just say this first. When I say this, I don't mean this to defend Dak Prescott, but just hear what I have to say here, okay? And I want to be emphatically clear. We should not have to have a situation where the quarterback has to outplay the coaching staff. Now, there's one thing if he can't execute the plays. I get that, and there were moments he didn't. But if we are stuck in ruts and the offensive coordinator is like, here's the play, do what you got to do, that is not a recipe for success, ladies and gentlemen. You can't, and this happened in the Tony Romo days and stuff like that, and I vividly remember that, and it's just deja vu all over again. We cannot expect to go out there with a terrible game plan and looking like we don't have a plan at all and expect to win, guys. You cannot have that in the National Football League. You're not going to win games like that. I don't care what anybody says, and that's how the good teams differentiate from the bad teams or the mediocre teams. The great teams can separate themselves because they know how to attack teams. We don't know how to attack teams. Maybe defensively, sure, but you have the 20% of it being your quarterback not being able to get the job done in some instances, your receivers not catching balls, your offensive line not blocking, your defense not making critical stops, and doing dumb mistakes. 14 penalties. That costs you the game as well. Think about it, if Neville Gallimore, and I know, don't send it his way, to his family, I should say, because there were some people saying that that's what's going on. Don't do that. Neville Gallimore doesn't do something, if Randy, that is the problem, people. We cannot win games like this. It's not just that the offense didn't show up. It's the fact that you can't commit stupid mistakes and put yourself in a position to be live by ref, die by ref situation, because if you're a Cowboys fan and you say that the refs are this, terrible, you can't put yourself in the situation. I say that every single time, and it feels like I feel like it falls on deaf ears. And look, it sucks we lost. But I kind of got a gist of how I feel about this team going forward. It's going to be a team that will be a playoff spot contender. Not a Super Bowl contender. I mean a playoff spot like contender to where they can get into the playoffs. But outside of that, I don't know what they'll do. I think if they're fully healthy and they click on all cylinders, they can be really damn good. And I don't want to hear people coming back here and being like, you picked them to go to the NFC Championship game, and nah. The only reason I did that was because I firmly believed, with given the talent of this team and kind of getting a sense of where they were at, maybe fate could sort of go their way. But then, like, towards the end, start of the game, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But what's more important to me is the fact that, kind of getting back to this Kellen Moore situation and why I now don't want him here anymore, is that, when you look at what's going on, okay? And I understand that everyone's looking at all the other quarterbacks that played and said, well, Dak Prescott played the worst out of all of them, which, yeah, you can look at that. I mean, Kyler Murray played like shit, but that's besides the point. I completely, listen, I get it. You need a guy to show up in the postseason. Sure. Completely agree. I'm like, why are we not going deep? Or if we're going deep, what's going on? Like, is there something up? And that's where I kind of put most of the blame on Kellen Moore, because if good coaches understand the circumstances that they are in, right? If you don't trust the quarterback, why aren't you running the ball more? If you don't trust the quarterback, maybe you should do certain other things. And hear me, this is why I blame Kellen Moore a whole lot. Remember when we were winning early in the season and we were running the ball very well and Dak was playing at an MVP caliber level, right? It's because we, were not asking him to do everything. And this is what I said about Tony Romo years ago. Before I started a channel, the reason why Tony Romo in 2014 was the best that he could be was because that run game was phenomenal. And look, if that is the recipe for success, that's fine, because guess what? San Francisco moved on because they were able to run the ball, make their quarterback make efficient throws and really damn good throws at sometimes, or he made some mistakes here and there. But the coach knew how to make adjustments and operate operate the offense to the point where you can win the game. And that happened to a lot of coaches. And you know what? The Cowboys didn't do that. They didn't. And so, I think that it's a situational awareness that team, and the reason I also get to coaching and not just Kellen Moore, how many penalties did we have on the game? 14. We had 14 penalties. Were they all on Dak Prescott? No. What that tells me is that the team was not disciplined, they weren't ready to play, and it just didn't feel like they were going to win the game. Yeah, you can blame him. You can say, yeah, we need to get him out of here. He isn't the guy. But, you got guys like Randy Gregory that people loved. He made mistakes. Neville Gallimore, he made mistakes. A crucial mistake at that. You had your offensive line false start twice on the same possession back to back. The holding calls. Everything went wrong all across the board. And you know what that tells me? This organization still has the same culture problems as before. It's not that it's the upper level. I almost said Jason Jones. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are your primary culprits for why the Cowboys haven't done a whole lot. And I don't think that should be a shock, people. You shouldn't. Yeah, if you want to blame the quarterback, that's fine. Yeah, if you want to blame the coach, that's fine. But, and I put most of the blame on Kellen Moore. But when you really think about it, like, the way we build these teams is like we are hoping to God that our draft class does something good. Honestly, we're banking on this draft class being so goddamn good where we don't need, we don't need the free agents to do it. Like, but we we have to be better in free agency, people. And kind of going into like, and we'll talk about the recap of the season in another video. I'm more so concerned about the game. And I'm gonna take a break for a week or two while I look at everything this season. I'm just so mentally exhausted with how fickle the fan base is, thinking, okay, if we can just get rid of the quarterback, it's going to magically make things better. It's not. I don't think if you got rid of Mike McCarthy, it would fix anything. You would just cause a disruption. It would just feel like you're in a rut again. And, I would rather stick, being in a Tony Romo era than that Chan Gailey, Dave Campo era, where you're like, okay, the team's something, but then they're complete fucking garbage, like, and I don't want to make it seem like I am accepting this defeat. I'm not. I'm absolutely disappointed in this team, but it it comes down to the expectations. I had some expectations for this team. Regular season, they met them. Postseason, they did not. And so that is what it comes down to. I'm just trying to be as level-headed as possible. And, I know people are going to think I'm being delusional. I know people are going to think I'm a fake fan, or insert other reasons here. But, guys, can we just please understand something? There are no quick fixes to this. Absolutely not. If you think that we can just go get another guy and hope to price that he's better than Dak Prescott, you could think that, but again, like everyone says, let's get rid of him, but there's no contingency plan. Oh, let's go fire Mike McCarthy. What's the contingency plan? Hire Dan Quinn, who was just the coach of the Falcons. Like, we're talking, like, no, people, no, 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 no. That is not the recipe for success. It's like, the impatience with this stuff. I get it. It's wearing thin. I understand. It's been 27 years. We're not patient anymore. I'm not trying to say that. My point is that if we don't allow things to run their course and we are just like, let's fire Mike McCarthy, let's get rid of that, is not a healthy formula to winning, people. This isn't Madden football. This isn't like you can go grab another, like, think about it this way, right? If Tony Romo was playing like shit, or rather he was playing the way he was, and you're like, you know what, we can do something better, and then you draft a Johnny Manziel and you bench Tony Romo and he plays like shit, what are you going to be like? Oh, well, we need to have Tony. No, because that is not a recipe for success, people. So I don't want to go on much longer, and I know people are going to hate what I have to say because they are expecting me to trash this team, or they're going to think I'm some fucking guy that can't criticize Dak Prescott, even though I legitimately felt he had his worst game considering circumstances to date, even though like he did throw more interceptions. But dude, you had to, he showed up in the postseason, he didn't here. Plain and simple, but at the same time, this whole team failed at the objective that they had. So they have no one to blame but themselves. Don't blame the goddamn refs, even though I'm pissed at what the refs did. Don't do that. So look, I'm just going to end it here. I'm going to be taking a bit of a break because I need to mentally detox myself from the fickle fan base and then going all over the place for everything. And that's no insult to anybody that has those opinions. You're entitled to have those opinions, but everyone's going to probably disagree with what I'm going to say here. But look, all I could say is that this is who the Cowboys are. They're a team where they can do good in the regular season. Postseason, it's a different story, and I'm just along for the ride, and, this is just who I expect them to be. I'm not going to, I just accept this fate that we're in, and if you feel like, Space, you are not being a real fan because you want this team, I want this team to win a Super Bowl. I want this team to go all the way. I want this team to be the best it could be, the dynasty, you name it. I understand that there are steps to get there, and unfortunately, this organization isn't taking those steps. I'm still going to be a fan of this team no matter what, regardless of what happens. I'm not throwing this sweatshirt away, because they lost in a playoff game. Like I said before the Eagles game, I watch this thing I do this for fun. I don't take this shit seriously. Like, I'm not someone that's going to like be like my life is ruined because the Cowboys could not win a playoff game. Yeah, I'm mad that they lost, but I feel like we lose sight in that. It's a game, people. I understand that, like, for me, the Cowboys mean a lot to me. They keep me distracted from, they get my mind off of bad things, and, like, I still had fun this season. Like, I had moments where watching the game with family and friends was so goddamn fun. And I feel like, we lose sight of that. And I'm not trying to be Mr. Sentimental here, but please remember that, we should, we got to look at it at what it is. I'm sorry, guys, but that's just what I got to say. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.